Another week, another Eagles dub in the books, and another first for the Eagles. Week we played the Ravens. We won the game 24-19, and it was our first win ever in the city of Baltimore playing against the Ravens. I don't know if we ever won in Baltimore when they were the Colts. The Ravens winning in Baltimore against the Ravens, the Eagles can check that off of their football list of accomplishments. I'm really running out of uh, things to say about Eagles, but at the same time, I love saying them and repeating them over and over and over again throughout this season. The Eagles are more and more looking like best team in football. And it's a shame that we don't play the Detroit Lions this year because they're the only team in the league that has a better record than ours. Um, I think the Vikings have a 10-2 record as well, but um, we're leading our respective division. The Vikings are behind the Lions. Crazy as it is, 10-2 would be probably tops anywhere else, but because they're in the same division with the Lions, that kind of holds them back from uh, challenging for that top spot. Eagles, man, they what can I say? We continue to rally together and we continue to play unbelievable football. And really what I love about the Eagles right now is that they're finding different ways to win games. The last couple of weeks, the Eagles were out in front and they were just beating up on lesser opponents. Jacksonville, Dallas, the Commanders, the Rams, the Eagles, they've been kind of pounding their opponents into submission and winning games, kind of as the clear favorite. This game against the Ravens was a little bit different in that we didn't start the game off really well. Um, they the Ravens they moved the ball down the field on us, and you know it was kind of a challenge to keep up with them as I expected because the Ravens they're a good football team. They've got Lamar Jackson, the reigning league MVP on their team, and so I fully expected it to be a back and forth kind of affair. Um, so we were battling. We were in a battle for the first half of the game, and if I can add to, uh, we weren't just playing the Ravens, but we were playing the officials too. There were some pretty questionable calls during that game that you know was like, come on. It seems like every third or fourth play there was a flag being thrown out of the field. The Eagles are getting called for these questionable penalties. It's like we were seeing too much of the officials. It was getting really ridiculous. But we persevered and we found a way to win the game. And what better way to give ourselves the best chance of victory than giving the ball to old 2-6, the current favorite for league MVP and Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, by his standards and the way he's played this year, it was a it was a mediocre game by his standards. 23 for 107 and a touchdown, that's a solid game for any running back regardless of who you are. But because of Saquon and the way he's played this year, the way he's run the ball, The kind of dynamic, explosive presence, and how he's just really taking over games this year. It was a subpar game for him by his standards because he's been unbelievable all year. 23 for 107 and a touchdown is subpar for him in 2024. But it was exactly what the Eagles needed to get the victory. They were bottling him up. They were doing a nice job of containing him throughout the first 2.5 quarters of the game. But I was watching the game with my family members, and I said to them, you know, just be patient. Sometimes holes not always going to be there. It's not always going to be. You won't always have easy lanes to run through. Be patient, just backing away, and eventually Saquon's going to pop one, and then right on schedule in that fourth quarter, I think Saquon found an opening, and he took it the distance. We wore down that great Ravens rush defense, and that essentially iced the game for us. The score was a lot closer than it looked. I mean, well, I'm sorry. The uh, complexity of the game was a lot um was it wasn't as close as the score indicates. That's what I'm trying to say. The final score doesn't really tell the tale of how the Eagles of how it was a tale of two halves. Eagles it was close in the first half, but the Eagles just turned it on and just imposed their will on the Ravens. They got a late garbage time touchdown to which made it 24-19, but we established ourselves as the superior team in the second half, and we literally won the game running away. So um, yeah, the Eagles they just continue to find ways to win, and that's really what it's all about. As we inch closer to the playoffs, um, it's really important for the Eagles to find different ways to win because when the playoffs come, it happens every year without fail. There, you're not going to just you know utterly destroy your opponent every time. It doesn't work that way. I should say it rarely works that way in sports. As long as I've been watching sports, you're never, you know, it's very difficult to win every single game with flying colors. It's very difficult to sweep your opponents that you play in the playoffs, to sweep them in four or to win a series in five. There's going to come a point in time where you're going to have to, you know, you're going to have to be ready to go blow for blow with somebody, or somebody's going to go blow for you, because that's just the nature of sport. When playoffs come, everybody, you know, goes up from 100 to 150. So I really love the way that the Eagles are winning games. Some of them beautifully, others like this one against Baltimore. Um, you're gonna have to, you're gonna have to, not going to be, in 3 rounds. You're gonna have to go 7, 8, 9, maybe even double digit rounds. So it was a really encouraging win. And once again, defense, man, the defense continues to play lights out. Uh, there was a story circulating that Deontay Johnson, who Ravens acquired a couple of weeks ago in a trade, he was suspended this past week, and I don't know how true this is. It probably isn't, but if it is, then shame on Deontay Johnson. Uh, he refused to go into the game. The Ravens called the play for him, and he just flat out refused. He was like, "No, I'm not going in." And that led to his suspension. The the rumor, jokingly, I hope, is that he didn't want to have to line up against Quinyon Mitchell. It's probably not true. It probably isn't true that he didn't want to that he didn't not want to go up against Quinyon Mitchell. I'm sure there was some other reason, something else that's going on there. But if that is true, if he was really afraid of going up against Quinyon Mitchell, which I hope isn't true for his sake. If it is, then yeah, shame on him because as a professional athlete, you're at the top of your profession, which in this case is football. You're playing with the best of the best, and you know you should embrace the challenge, embrace the opportunity to go up against the best of the best. Right now, as far as I'm concerned, Quinyon Mitchell is one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. And you should want to go up against him to measure yourself to see how good you are compared to a player of his caliber. So if he didn't go in for that reason, then know, who knows? Who knows where the rest of his NFL career will take him? I mean, his career is already you know in hot water anyway because teams are going to see that you know him not wanting to go in, and I think they had a couple of other injuries too that lent itself to him getting more playing time receiver position, but that's not our problem. That's not the Eagles' problem. Um, the Eagles continue to show why they're a dominant team, why they are squarely in the Super Bowl conversation. And let's talk a little bit about one Cooper DeJean, who made the tackle of the week, maybe the tackle of the year on King Derrick Henry. Now, Derrick Henry is about 6'3", 250 pounds, give or take a he's he's you can't bring him down with one guy. It just doesn't happen. You can't bring Derrick Henry down with an arm tackle. You can't bring him down with one guy, much less a defense. All right, Derrick Henry's got Quinyon, or excuse me, Cooper DeJean. He's got him by a good 40, 45 pounds at least. Cooper DeJean took him down like like a lion takes down a zebra in the safari. Okay, I mean he caught that pass, which he wasn't in Derek's defense. He wasn't really he wasn't catching the pass, so he didn't have you know time to really brace for impact or to really reset so that he could um, meet Cooper head on. But he caught the pass, and Cooper he made one of the most beautiful tackles I've ever seen a player make. He got under he got lower than Derrick Henry, which is important when making a tackle. Always want to get lower than your opponent, lower than the object you're trying to bring down. And he just picked him up WWE style and brought him down. And that was on a third down play. Open field tackle, nobody else except the two of them. If Cooper doesn't make that tackle, Eric Henry gets the first down. And the boy got him down by himself. A young, fresh faced rookie tackling a Hall of Famer in Derrick Henry like it was nothing. You know, it was just beautiful to see. And Cooper is the the latest. He's in a line of young players who are making plays for this Eagles defense. Cooper, Quinyon, Jalen Carter. I mean, that man needs to be in the conversation defensive player in the of the year. He is right before Eagles fans' eyes. He is becoming a certified game wrecker at the defensive tackle position. I don't think people understand. I don't think people understand just how difficult it is to be that dominant on the interior of the defensive line. Is once every once in a while, every once there's a few guys, generational players at that position who can make that kind of impact. About people like Aaron Donald, Warren Sapp, John Randall, um, you know, taking it back to the 70s with Mean Joe Green and other players like that. I'm sure there are others who don't come to mind right now, but it's hard to to um to have that kind of impact as a defensive tackle. Now, I'm not saying that Jalen Carter is in the same conversation as those guys yet, but Jalen Carter, I'm looking at his stats right now. 18 tackles. I mean, and let's be clear. It's hard to make tackles. It's hard to rack up a bunch of tackles for a defensive tackle. All right, you very rarely see them make 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tackles like you would see a middle linebacker. So just that out. 18 tackles, 4 passes defended. So he's he's he can see the quarterback getting ready to throw the ball, and he's getting his hands up. He's got active hands. 4.5 sacks, 4.5 sacks from his defensive tackle spot, and forced fumble. And those are his stats up to this point. Up to this point, of following 12 weeks of play or 13 weeks of play. He needs to be in the conversation defensive player of the year. He probably won't win it because he plays for the Eagles, because there are other players with um, more sexy stats than his, but he needs to at least be talked about because he is just phenomenal. He is changing. He's becoming a guy that offensive coordinators have to game plan for. You have to game plan for Jalen Carter now when you play against the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Um, I just want to find something because it was a ridiculous uh, game log last week. Um, Jalen Carter, where is it? Oh, here we go. Jalen Carter this past week against the Ravens, 8 pressures, 7 hurries, 3 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits, and a sack. That is absolutely insane production from a defensive lineman, from a defensive tackle. And that's what Jalen Carter did against one of the best offenses, one of the best players in the league, in Lamar Jackson. That's what Jalen Carter was able to do. Um, he needs to be talked about more as one of the bright young players in professional football. He needs to be talked about. He needs to have the same kind of respect that of Reggie White. That's another defensive lineman who he's played some defensive tackle and defensive end, but he's another one. He's another generational player who also happened to play for the Eagles early in his career. That that had a significant effect on opposing teams. So Jalen Carter man, he's going to be fun to watch. He's only in his second year, and he's playing like this. He's got an unbelievable career in front of him. So the Eagles, they just keep doing it. We haven't lost since the beginning of or since the end of September, and it doesn't look like we're going to be slowing down anytime soon. Schedule sets up very nice for us. Ravens was our last, well, our second to last home game. No, I'm sorry, our second to last road game of the season. The next five games, four of those games are right here in Philly. We got Carolina this week, a game which we should win. Carolina's they've been playing better the last couple of weeks, but I mean Carolina, who do they have on offense? Bryce Young. He's gotten himself together after a rough start, but Bryce Young. I mean, I honestly don't even know who their starters is. I think Adam Thielen is on that team, but Adam Thielen he's past his prime. He's not the um he's not the receiver that he was 6, 7, 8 years ago. Um, yeah, I really don't know who else. No, Miles Sanders is on that team, but does he even start? I don't even know. I don't even know if he even starts. I don't even know if he's going to be active. To be honest with you, when we play on Sunday, so um, that's a game that we should just go and take care of business. Uh, and then we play Pittsburgh. They've been playing better. They've been playing great football. So they might push us a little bit, but I think that we can win that game. Washington on the road, you know, that could have divisional implications. The division could be won by that point. We'll have to see what happens. They're on bye this week, so these this game upcoming will give us a chance to really create an even bigger between us and them. And then we close out against Dallas and the Giants. So really, we're 10-2 now. It's not crazy to think that the Eagles could run the table the rest of the way and go 15-2. It really isn't. And we'll have to see what happens with Detroit. But that first round bye is very much within our grasp. It's very much within our grasp. I, I I'm not. It's not the end of the world to me if we don't get the first round bye. Would I love to have it? Absolutely, I would. You want every advantage, every free pass that you can get on your way to trying to win a Super Bowl. But if we don't get it, if somehow Detroit just wins out and they go 16-1 and we finish 15-2, then you just have to tip their hat to them. They're a great football team. That, but it's still in the realm of possibility for us to get that first round bye. It really is. All it takes is one Detroit slip up and us to keep coasting the rest of the way to um to get it. So as long as it's in sight, as long as we can reach out and touch it, then go for it. Go for it until you're able to grab it and submit yourself. So um yeah um yeah I'm really looking forward to uh how seeing how this thing is going to play out. Um, First things first, though, Carolina, they're a team, a bad team with a bad record, but it could potentially be a trap game. I'm always weary of trap games. We should handle them easily. Don't want to play with our food, and you know let them hang around in the game. They almost beat Tampa Bay. They almost beat Kansas City a couple of weeks ago too. Carolina, their record says that they're bad, but they can play some ball. They don't have anything to lose. They're squarely in the middle of a total organizational rebuild. They will play. They've got young guys on that team who don't know any better. They've got a first year head coach, so they're I expect them to try to do everything. But if we're just being honest, we should beat them, and we should beat them by a couple of scores. So let's keep the good times rolling. Go Birds, man! This is the I think we're in the midst of watching something really special. This has a chance to be a really special season. Well, it has been a special season for the Birds, but more good things are going to come. So I'm looking forward to it, to seeing how the rest of this thing plays out, and I'll get back with you next time. And yeah, go Birds, man! This is unbelievable. Love it, love it, love it, love it.